Well, the AFC Champions League Elite is nearing the business end of the league stage. And tonight in the Eastern Zone, it's fourth against third as FC Seoul of the Korean Republic take on Melbourne City of Australia at the Seoul World Cup Stadium in the Korean capital. FC Seoul have just completed a rather mixed domestic campaign, but they've saved their best for Asia, where a 3-1 win over Shanghai Port in China last time out catapulted them into the top four. Melbourne City, A-League champions last year, had a slow start in the region's top competition with back-to-back losses, but they have since strung together 3 consecutive victories, which leaves them in third. It's rather chillier than Melbourne City endured in Newcastle domestically at the weekend, where they won 1-0 in searing heat. Today it's a rather cooler 9 degrees, and the banners are thanking Jesse Lingard. It's going to be the last time we get to see the English international in the red and black of FC Seoul. He's announced he will be departing after 2 seasons, and he'll be looking to add to his 12 goals in all competitions this season. Melbourne City have put together a run of 3 straight clean sheets, in large part due to the form of their brilliant young goalkeeper Patrick Beach. So Lingard against Beach could well be one of the key battlegrounds this evening. The goals have been in short supply for FC Seoul. They've only scored once, along with 1 own goal in their last 3. As I say, a rather disappointing end to the K-League season. A stoppage time goal from John Book Motors, condemning them to defeat, and a 6th spot finish. And they miss a place in Asia next season as a result of that. Certainly not the biggest crowd we will see at the Seoul World Cup Stadium this year, but those that have come in expectation that their team can continue their good form in Asia's top club competition. Melbourne City have got a run of home matches coming up domestically. After this, they've only played 1 match at home in the A-League. And in the Champions League, their fates will be decided by 3 matches against Korean opposition. FC Seoul tonight, and then they face Ulsan and Gangwon to finish. Just a handful have made the journey, the long journey north from Australia, to cheer on Melbourne City. There they are at the far end of the stadium. 1 or 2 locals look as though they've lent their support to the visitors' cause as well. They have never qualified for the knockout phase of the AFC Champions League Elite. This is their 3rd crack at it. As for FC Seoul, of course, well, they've made the final twice. Once in the old Asian Club Championship back in 2001-02, and then latterly in 2013 in the more modern iteration of the Champions League. Unfortunately for the Koreans, they lost both of those finals. There's Jesse Lingard, who will wave goodbye to his Korean adventure after tonight. And the pitch, as you can see, looks just a little patchy. That's probably not helped by the very cool temperatures. Probably going to play a little hard underfoot. And quite the contrast for Melbourne City after they had to have drinks breaks during their match against the Newcastle Jets domestically at the weekend. FC Seoul about to put their feet up until the group stage recommences in February. Their final 2 matches very tough on paper, both against Japanese opposition, Vissel Kobe, who are the current leaders of the Eastern Zone standings, and then a home game against Sanfrecce Hiroshima. The earlier games today saw Machida Zelvia move up into 2nd spot. They defeated Ulsan of the Korean Republic by 3 goals to 1. As for Vissel Kobe, they had to rely on a 90th minute penalty equalizer to salvage a point against Chengdu. So here they come. And you can tell how cold it is by the fact that the FC Seoul players are still wearing the big coats. Melbourne City looking very smart in their dark blue tracksuit tops. The other two games in the Champions League Elite Eastern Zone today. Johor 0, Shanghai Port 0. Johor had 48 shots in that game, and all square 2-2 as well between Buriram and the other Korean Republic outfits, Gangwon. Well, the official AFC Champions League Elite anthem rather drowned out by the noise made by the FC Seoul fans. There's those Melbourne City supporters standing proud, even though there's not too many of them. Really important 90 minutes ahead, just 1 point between 6 clubs, separating Melbourne City and Ulsan down in 9th spots on the standings. Check on the team news. FC Seoul making 2 changes from the 11 that started against Jeonbuk Motors at the weekend. Goalkeeper Kang Hyun-moo came off injured in that match and hasn't made it. So Choi Chul-won deputises, while in attack, Marko Dugandzic drops out of the squad. Chon Song-hoon comes in. Dugandzic will leave the club after tonight, as will Jesse Lingard, as mentioned. The English international who captains the club in his 67th and final game for FC Seoul. Brazilian Anderson is among the substitutes. There's our team of officials, led by referee Mohamed Qasim Sarai, a 45-year-old from Iraq. 2 skippers, Jesse Lingard and Aziz Bayic. Now Melbourne City make 4 changes from the side that defeated the Newcastle Jets. Socceroo Nathaniel Atkinson is back after injury at right back. Emir Durakovic comes into midfield along with Zane Schreiber. And in attack, Elbasan Rashani returns from a hamstring injury that's really limited his minutes since arriving from Elche in Spain. Off-season signing Takeshi Kanamori is on the bench. He won the AFC Champions League with Kashima Antlers in 2018. Well, few perhaps would have predicted this incredible fight back by Melbourne City after they lost their first 2 matches in the Champions League to Sanfrecce Hiroshima and Vissel Kobe. Tonight they go for 4 in a row against Jesse Lingard's FC Seoul, and he will want to go out, no doubt, as a winner. There's Andreas Kuhn, the Austrian, who's such an important cog in the midfield for Melbourne City. He'll line up alongside the more defensively minded Zane Schreiber and, to a lesser extent, Emir Durakovic in midfield tonight. So on a chilly night in the Korean capital, Melbourne City, in the light blue shirts, get us underway, kicking from right to left on your screens in the first half. FC Seoul from the Korean Republic, historically the AFC Champions League's most successful nation, looking to build upon that excellent win in China against Shanghai Port. But with Melbourne City having won 3 straight in this competition, this could be a fascinating 90 minutes ahead. And this is Yazan Al-Arab spraying the ball out to the left-hand side, the Jordanian international who will be featuring in the World Cup with his country in North America next year, after winning through to the Asian Cup final in 2023. There's Kim Ji-dong, the former Pohang Steelers playing legend, who's now completed 2 years in charge of FC Seoul. He was a Champions League winner as a player himself with the Steelers back in 2009. Looking to lead his team to glory in this competition. Here's the first touch of the evening for Jesse Lingard. Lucas Rodriguez trying to make progress, but held up really well, and that's great footwork by Nathaniel Atkinson to sort out that particular problem. There is an issue, though, for Kim Jin-soo on that far side. Just catching a stray boot as Atkinson went to tidy things up. And just trod on that left foot of Kim Jin-soo, the Korean international, who went to the World Cup in 2022 with the Tiger Warriors. 74 caps for his country. Nathaniel Atkinson was there as well, of course, with Australia, who've also qualified for the World Cup finals. That ball's gone out of play before Rashani could retrieve it. There's Aurelio Vidmar, who won the A-League crown his first full season with Melbourne City, and he has had success in this competition before, taking Adelaide United, you might remember, to the final in 2008, where they were beaten over 2 legs by Gamba Osaka. And his team are looking to apply the full press and keep FC Seoul boxed in, and they've managed to do that. And Andreas Kuhn has stolen the ball. Didn't quite get full control of it, nor did Rashani. City still with a chance of building something here, but shepherded behind in the end by Park Song-hoon. Thumbs up to his bench. And it's an FC Seoul goal kick, who have won just one of their last 6 in all competitions. That was that 3-1 away success at Shanghai Port in this competition. That's a really weak clearance, which just for a moment put FC Seoul on the back foot. They've sorted that out now, and there was a bit of holding there from Kai Truin on Chon Song-hoon, so it'll be a free kick for the home team. Kai Truin back playing in the heart of the Melbourne City defence today, replacing Liam Bonnetig from the weekend. He has played a lot of his football in midfield so far this season, but equally adept. There's his central defensive partner, Germán Ferreira, a rugged Argentine. Lingard's free kick, not best, it must be said, off the head of Lee Sung-mo. And now a chance for Lucas Rodriguez, who's got the better of Nathaniel Atkinson, who is appealing for handball or a foul or something. And in the end, it's Atkinson who sweeps the ball away. Lucas Rodriguez didn't really make the most of that opportunity, but Melbourne City would have felt really aggrieved had that led to a goal. Let's have another look at it. Yeah, that's the appeal for handball against the Brazilian. And in the end. Just couldn't quite get the ball out from between his feet to get the shot away, but easily smothered by the Melbourne City defence. Lucas Rodriguez, signed in 2024 after a fairly productive spell with Maritimo in the Portuguese league. With the first real opportunity for either team. Here's Rashani though for Melbourne City. He's got the better of Hwang in the midfield, but the cross well gathered by Choi Chol-won. Has to be said, it's clean take, not matched by the release. There he is, known to the home fans as Sergeant Choi for his rather upright military-style stance. Getting his opportunity this evening due to that injury to Kang Hyun-moo. Only the second time that Melbourne City have faced Korean opposition in the Champions League Elite. I remember in 2022 they played a couple of games against Jeonnam Dragons, who were in K2 domestically at that point. City winning the first game 2-1 and the second game ending in a 1-1 draw. That's why Melbourne City have got a free kick, the infringement. Here's a chance for Max Caputo inside the penalty area. And a shot in the end, well wide of the target. So one chance apiece. Patrick Beach, who's been so impressive in this Champions League campaign so far for Melbourne City, with the clearance upfield. Steadied back towards the keeper by Park Song-hoon. By the way, just noticing a change at right back for FC Seoul to the published team sheet. Looks like Choi Jin is lining up at right back, wearing number 16. Instead of the listed Park Soo-il. Whether that's an injury picked up in the warm-up or something else, I'm not quite sure. That was Choi Jin winning that aerial duel. Zane Schreiber lifting the ball out towards Atkinson, but the bouncer's going to beat the Australian international, who's been on the sidelines in recent weeks due to a hamstring injury, one of several suffered by Melbourne City this season. A lot of soft tissue injuries for Aurelio Vidmar to deal with, who's now put the big coat and the gloves on to deal with the cold. Here's Park Song-hoon out to Choi Jin. Broken up by Jong Sung-won, and Seoul will look to attack down the left through Lucas Rodriguez. He's trying to backheel the ball for Jesse Lingard, but didn't make a clean connection. Atkinson turning away cleverly from Jesse Lingard. Brought down here by Kim Jin-soo, who is then impeded by Kavian Ramani, who got the winner in that 1-0 win against the Newcastle Jets at the weekend. Yazan Al-Arab off by Chong Song-hoon. Sent back by Lee Song-mo. Just those two early opportunities in the first 10 minutes of the game. Lucas Rodriguez with a shot that was on target at least. Max Caputo at the other end, dragging his effort wide. Kim Jin-soo down the line. There's a bit of space here for Lingard, who ran smartly into it, and the cutback is going to find a teammate, Choi Jin. Patrick Beach had already committed himself for the shot from Lee Sung-mo. Look of frustration on the face of Park Ji-dong. But Lingard's game smarts made that opportunity for FC Seoul. Herman Ferreira with the block for Melbourne City. Hwang Do-yeon, good work down the right. And again, they're building nicely here, FC Seoul. Kim Jin-soo looking to bend one. No problem for Beach on that occasion. But FC Seoul perhaps just starting to warm to their task on this cold evening in Seoul. Patrick Beach with the goal kick. He's just become a fully fledged Australian international. Made his debut against Venezuela in the November window. Was named man of the match as well. Continuing on his really good club form. Cleverly done by Lucas Rodriguez. Kim Jin-soo being tracked by Atkinson. Back through Yazan Al-Arab, and now Park Song-hoon. Near touchline, Choi Jin. Choi's touch was a little heavy, but the release is excellent from the goalkeeper. Lucas Rodriguez onto it. He's got two defenders to deal with. And two was just about enough. Argentina against Brazil there. Lucas Rodriguez against Herman Ferreira. Koreans do love their Brazilians. Got another on the bench in Anderson. Nathaniel Atkinson was caught there, and there's going to be a card here for Hwang Do-yeon. Late on Atkinson, and referee Mohammed Qasim Sarai had no doubts. Immediately went to his top pocket. Had a good season, has Hwang, nominated for Korean Republic's Young Player of the Year award in 2025. That not one of his better moments of this calendar year. Here's Rashani from the resultant free kick. Back through the captain, Bajic. And now Ferreira. Against the return of Truid. Schreiber. Sent wide by Ferreira for Atkinson. City have been good on the road in this competition. That's a 1-0 loss in stoppage time to Vissel Kobe. Matchday 2, their first and only loss in what is their third AFC Champions League Elite campaign on the road. Had to go with 3 wins and 1 draw away from home. That's not including, of course, the year that they played in the hub in 2022. Although they didn't lose any of those games either, and still didn't qualify for the knockout phase. They've been a little unfortunate in not having reached the pointy end of this competition. Maybe this is their year. They're certainly well placed at the moment. FC Seoul in a similar position. Here's Aziz Bajic, the veteran left-back for Melbourne City. No doubt he'll be part of the Australian World Cup squad as well. And he sends the ball long, a little aimlessly, comfortably dealt with by Choi Jin. Touched by Jong Sung-won. Couldn't find a teammate. And near silence around the Seoul World Cup Stadium as Melbourne City enjoy a little spell in possession. FC Seoul have had some good battles against A-League clubs, though, down the years. You might remember that they lost a Champions League semi-final over 2 legs against Western Sydney Wanderers back in 2014. As the Wanderers went on to become the first and so far only A-League club to lift the trophy. Here's Rashani. Step-overs, Ronaldo style. Disappointing cross at the end of it, although he believes he should have a corner. Let's see if he's right. Difficult to tell, really, conclusively at least from that angle. Another poor goal kick from Choi. Spent 6 years with Bucheon before signing for FC Seoul in 2023. Holding by Caputo on Yazan Al-Arab. A bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, if you ask me, but linesman was well placed. Again, the distribution is not the best from the goalkeeper, and he knows it. Maybe a bit of rustiness, although he has played in 9 matches this season across all competitions and came off the bench for the last 5 minutes in that 2-1 loss to Jeonbuk Motors at the weekend. misjudged by Al Arab. He's helped out by Park Song-hoon. Brought down by Lee Sung-mo. That'll be a throw-in off Romani. Choi under pressure. Wouldn't stick for Chon Song-hoon. Turned back by Ferreira. And again by Bajic. And turned over rather cheaply by Romani. Rodriguez. This is Hwang. Lee Sung-mo bringing Choi Jin into play. Well, more challenge. It was a teasing cross, but just angled a little too close to Beach. Nicely constructed by FC Seoul. Choi Jun pushing forward down the right and creating the angle for the cross. Turning away from Rashani. Sent forward by Ferreira, helped on by Romani. The penalty area was Caputo. Held at bay by Al Arab. Atkinson darts through a little space and tried to get around Kim Jin-soo. And there might just have been some slight contact, but not enough for a free kick. Jin-soo's been right in the thick of it, hasn't he? Atkinson looking for an option. Caputo is the man to show for Melbourne City. Ball will break here though in favour of FC Seoul and Jong Sung-won. Now Choi Jun. Bajic got a foot in. Kuhn gets the throw off Hwang Do-yun. Patient build-up from Melbourne City, trying to draw FC Seoul out. Quite sure what that ball was though from Aziz Bajic. Choi Jun. Al Arab finding the space for Hwang Do-yun. Lingard. A little over-elaborate by the England international. Hwang Do-yun having to stretch for the ball. A little bit formless the game in the last couple of minutes. Ferreira. Tough on that for Romani, had a bit of pace on it, but made the ball stick. Bajic. Rashani. Nicely disguised by Bajic. Just a little bit too much juice on it for Kuhn. Ball rolling quite quickly across the hard surface. Now Arab always the favourite for this one, and sees it safely behind. Very much a fan favourite amongst the FC Seoul supporter base. Signed from Muaida in Qatar in 2024. He's had a very eclectic playing career, which has also included spells in Iraq with Al Shorta and Malaysia with Selangor, as well as with the Giants back in his homeland, Al Wadat. All part of a very good Jordanian team that got to that Asian Cup final, which they lost to the host nation Qatar, and then subsequently qualified for the World Cup. Down towards Bajic by Truin. Caputo will give chase, and then straight offside. Here's Melbourne City's top scorer this season with 6 in all competitions. Filling the boots of the now departed Jamie McLaren pretty admirably for a 20-year-old. Those 6 goals coming in 12 competitive matches, which is a pretty good ratio for a striker. Bajic. Flick forward by Chon Song-hoon, but Ferreira to mop up for Melbourne City, only briefly though. Hwang Do-yun cleverly turning the ball out towards Lingard. Beyond him is Lucas Rodriguez. Lingard available for the return. Square is Lee Sung-mo. Back through Al Arab. And out wide left for Kim Jin-soo. And Rodriguez has given away the throw, although he doesn't believe that should be the case. That ball really smacked into the face of Lucas Rodriguez. Must have a pretty hard head. He didn't flinch. Nicely disguised by Kuhn. Worked wide by Durakovic, but didn't have the pace on it to get through. It's good chasing back by Bajic to quickly get goal side of his opponent. Now he's gone to ground. Maybe just got clipped by Choi Jun, who will wander over to inquire as to his opposite number's welfare. Great work by the City skipper, and then yeah, just that trailing leg of Choi Jun catching Bajic. Ouch, treading on the heel of the Melbourne City captain. And he's picked up a yellow card for that. Second one of the evening. Follows Hwang Do-yun into the book. Very nuggety competitor is Choi Jun. Just made his senior international debut back in June against Iraq off the bench for the Korean Republic. Here's Jong Sung-won down the line for Choi Jun. Early cross into the box, big chance. Had to be, didn't it? Jesse Lingard on his farewell appearance for FC Seoul gives the club from the Korean Republic the lead. It's lucky 13 in all competitions and a farewell gift to the fans in the Korean capital who love him. 1-0 FC Seoul. It was a super cross, and Lingard just wrong footing the goalkeeper. Choi Jun with a millimetre perfect delivery, and a player of Jesse Lingard's quality was not going to miss that opportunity. Punch in the air from Park Ji-dong. And they will miss him. Lots of speculation as to where his future lies. Many believe the MLS is the next stop for the former Manchester United attacking player. But for now, he's wearing the red and black of FC Seoul. And he's had a big say in this one. Here's Elbasan Rashani as Melbourne City look to clear their heads. Rashani just trying to touch it on for Kuhn. Choi Jun ensuring they didn't get through to the Austrian. He claims an assist, the fullback, to go with his yellow cards that he picked up just moments before. Bajic, Schreiber, Kuhn. Nice readjustment by the Austrian, still going. Nodded away by Lee Sung-mo. And now the counter might be on for Lucas Rodriguez. Has he got the pace to get away from Nathaniel Atkinson? Well, no, he's not, but he's still got the ball. Now Lee Sung-mo, Jong Sung-won, and Lingard looking to turn provider, but too close to the Melbourne City goalkeeper, Patrick Beach. That's Jesse Lingard's 19th goal in 67 appearances for FC Seoul. I think it's fair to say he's enjoyed his time in the Korean Republic. Hasn't managed to pick up a trophy. FC Seoul still without one since they won the K-League in 2016. That's going to be a foul, and I fancy a yellow card here. It's actually gone the way of FC Seoul now. I must admit, at first glance, I thought this was a foul by Yazan Al-Arab because Romani got the wrong side of him, but maybe Romani initiated the first contact. Yeah, I think that's how the referee's seen it. There was definitely a tug on the jersey afterwards from the Jordanian defender, but I think Mohamed Kassim Sarai has got that one absolutely spot on. Once again, not the best clearance from Choi Chul-won. One or two moans in the stands. That's the third or fourth time he's failed to pick out a teammate. And he's put his team on the back foot. Rashani, that's a handy ball to Well dealt with by Al Arab. Good response by Melbourne City. They've got to be careful they don't leave gaps in behind as they chase the equalizer. Sliced out of play by Bajic. Now, whistle's gone, I think, for offside against Lingard. He looked rather quizzical as to that award of the free kick. No, it's a throw-in, in fact, that's gone the other way, so clearly linesman signalling that the ball had got out of play before Lingard could retrieve it. It's definitely out of play now. Cohen. Nice readjustment, good close control, but rebounded off Hwang Do-yun. Here's the goal scorer. Choi Chul-won. Finally getting the ball within the vicinity of one of his teammates. A bit of space for Lingard to attack. Here's Lucas Rodriguez. I don't think Kim Jin-soo was expecting that pass. Nor did he particularly want it at that precise moment. Off the head of Hwang. Lee Sung-mo. Choi Jun. Over on the edge of the box, but not enough for a free kick. Rashani just a little too strong for him. True-in for Melbourne City. Cohen. Rashani protecting the ball. Cohen, Bajic joining in. They got numbers here, Melbourne City. It's a strong challenge by Lucas Rodriguez, and Rashani has stayed down. FC Seoul looking to break. Yazan Al Arab having to sprint to keep this move going. Here he is again on the ball. Lingard opening up the body for Jong Sung-won. Seoul threatening once again, and Beach makes the save to deny Hwang Do-yun. He climbed well, got his header on target. The game really starting to open up after a rather slow start. Choi Jun's got a problem. Here's that previous move. Jong Sung-won with the cross, and Hwang's header. A comfortable take for Beach in the end. Choi Jun in need of some attention. Hwang Do-yun just replaying that header in his mind, thinking about what he should have done. It's like the back of that right knee is a problem for the fullback. He was signed from Busan I-Park in 2024 after being voted in the K-League 2 Best 11 the year before. Here's the goal. Never in any doubt, was it, Jesse Lingard? Nice dance moves too. Bit of moonwalking if you don't mind. Not easy in football boots. He was a mover and a shaker for 11 years with Manchester United. And then had that rather disappointing season with Nottingham Forest. And decided to try his luck elsewhere. But with 5 minutes to go in the first half in Seoul, it is the Englishman who's had the biggest say so far. Rashani can have a go here. Well, by my tally, that's just the second shot that Melbourne City have fashioned, yet to really work. Choi Chul-won in the FC Seoul goal. So far in this year's tournament, Melbourne City have found a way to stay in matches. They've become adept at scoring some late goals in this competition, which has earned them some crucial points. Just kept alive by Park Song-hoon. Defender Park Song-hoon, still just 22, out of contract with FC Seoul at the end of the season. One or two other K-League clubs said to be interested in his services. Up to Kim Ji-dong, of course, as to whether they let him go or offer him a new deal. Rashani. An international who's only just back in the Melbourne City team after injury. Another one of those hamstring problems, of which they've had a few. Ferreira. It's too short for Atkinson, and Lucas Rodriguez says, I'll have that. Atkinson quickly back goal side. Park Song-hoon. It's a poor ball for Choi Jun. He looks to be okay after that little injury scare. Through it all the way back to the goalkeeper. Ferreira almost got in a spot of bother. Managed to get clear of Lingard in the end. Turn by Romani. Kuhn. Nice build-up this for City. Rashani going for the cross. It's a teasing one, and it was Atkinson arriving at the back post. And he knows, but for that toe-in from Kim Jin-soo, that could well have been 1-1. Melbourne City's best attacking move of the game. It was a lovely cross from Rashani. And Atkinson just waiting to pull the trigger. Credit to Kim Jin-soo, who spotted the danger. Still the corner to come. The in-swinger towards the near post. Seen out by Choi Jun in the first phase. Back in by Durakovic. And flick wide in the end by Rashani. At a more promising period of play for Aurelio Vidmar's team. Into the first of 2 additional minutes at the end of the first half. Ball spun towards Nathaniel Atkinson. Schreiber off balance. FC Seoul looking to work the ball out. Good advantage played by the referee. There was a foul in there. Wow, that's one heck of a pass back. "20 metres inside the opponent's half." Clearly, FC Seoul not believing that anything was on in an attacking sense. Here's Kuhn. Romani able to open up the body, drive forward, looking to thread the needle for Max Caputo. Passing lane wasn't really open. That's a mistake by Lee Sung-mo. Romani onto it in a flash. FC Seoul quickly get numbers back behind the ball. Melbourne City pushing for an equalizer. Schreiber straight into traffic. The shot is blocked, and then Caputo on the turn with a rather tame effort, which is easily saved by Choi Chul-won. But a good end to the first half by Melbourne City. 2 or 3 chances they've forced, albeit they haven't really worked the goalkeeper to the full extent. Clear foul by Schreiber. Escapes with a warning. Quick check of the watch from Mohamed Kassim Sarai, and that will do us for the first half. A fascinating first 45, and Jesse Lingard, on the occasion of his final game for FC Seoul, has got the goal that divides the teams. At the break in Seoul, it's FC Seoul 1, Melbourne City 0.
World's best airline for a record length time, flying high as the champion in the sky. And this year, best airline in the Middle East, world's best business class, best business class lounge. Yet, still a Skytrax 5-star airline. That's a lot of bests, and none of it happens without the best passenger. Thank you for flying with us, and for voting for
A spectacular drone shot of the wonderful Seoul World Cup Stadium, built for the 2002 World Cup finals, of course. Jesse Lingard is the scorer of the game's only goal here tonight between FC Seoul and Melbourne City. And the home side have generally had the better of things. Their Champions League form continuing to contrast with their rather indifferent domestic results. That campaign over for another season. This one very much still up and running. As for Melbourne City, they had a strong finish to the first half. And their options somewhat limited off the bench this evening. Takeshi Kanamori offers experience. Mehdi Mehmeti offers goal potential. We kick off the second half with Melbourne City chasing the game, and a high foot is going to produce a yellow card right from the start. Oh, it's a straight red card. That's extraordinary. And Rashadi is protesting that maybe he got dazzled in the floodlights a little bit, but the referee has had absolutely no doubts. And within a matter of seconds of the restart, Elbasan Rashani, who in fairness probably only had eyes for the ball, but he was a little bit high and he was certainly late, has been shown a straight red card by Iraqi official Mohamed Qasim Sarai. A big talking point. They will check, of course, in VAR. Rashani has pleaded his innocence. And Melbourne City must wait and hope that there is a reprieve. And Mohamed Qasim Sarai has been called over to have another look at this on the little screen. So there may yet be hope for Melbourne City that their full complement of 11 will be restored, but we shall see. Well, he is a bit high, he's certainly late. I don't think there's much intent to catch Park Song-hoon, but I'm not sure that's going to matter too much. If anything, tries to pull the foot away. But is that deemed reckless and dangerous play? VAR clearly has some doubt, which is why they've called the referee across to have another look at it. It's all down to his decision as to whether he sticks with the red card or downgrades it to a yellow. Yeah, it's going to be downgraded. Well, the home fans don't like it. It's a big talking point. I'm sure you've got your own view on it at home. And Rashadi and Melbourne City breathe a big sigh of relief. Red card overturned. And it's just a caution for the Kosovan. Still a free kick for FC Seoul, which is floated into the box. And Melbourne City deal easily enough with that one. A lot of things they have to take into consideration, of course. The amount of force, the height of the foot. And even though intent is not explicitly written into the laws of the game, I'm sure that plays a part in their thinking as well. Long throw by Kim Jin-soo, helped on by Chon Song-hoon. It's not away yet for Melbourne City. Scampering after it is Choi Jun. Clipped into the box. Seen out by Truin for the Australian A-League outfit. Jesse Lingard treated us to his best Michael Jackson impression after scoring the game's only goal on 31 minutes. Bit of moonwalking to go with the shapes. Well, I guess really if he wants to pay tribute to the late Michael Jackson, he should only really be wearing one glove. And he's got two on tonight because it's a bit chilly out there. Home fans a little disgruntled after that VAR intervention. Their team still leading. Melbourne City pushing forward. Zane Schreiber on the ball. Now Kuhn. Rashani. Near post was Park Song-hoon. Swept further away by Hwang Do-yun. And that'll be a throw-in for FC Seoul. I mentioned that lack of strength on the bench for Melbourne City, even though the youngsters have done a fine job for Aurelio Vidmar. They are still missing a couple of key players. Matt Leckie underwent surgery today on a long-standing hamstring injury, which they hope will sort that particular problem out. Still no Andrew Naboot, out with concussion protocols at the moment, after he sustained a head knock in the goalless draw against the Central Coast Mariners domestically a couple of weeks ago. The likes of Alessandro Lopane and Lawrence Wong still out as well. Matt Leckie, of course, with double reason to want to get right. I'm sure he wants to get his World Cup spot back ahead of the finals in North America for the Socceroos. Lingard's free kick. And here's Yazan Al-Arab, who ventured forward for the set piece. Here's the Jordanian once again. And support from Jong Sung-won if he needs it. Cross towards the back post. Lingard out by Ferreira. Back in again by Kim Jin-soo, but nobody there in red and black. I mentioned in the first half that Melbourne City have found a way to stay in matches in the Champions League Elite this year. They've actually scored injury time goals in each of their last three, ensuring maximum points in all three of those matches. Oh, Beach with an errant touch has put them in trouble, and the shot from Chon Song-hoon was smothered at the expense of a corner for Melbourne City, but Park Ji-dong believes that it might have been more for his team. Patrick Beach putting his team in a spot of bother here. Normally he's pretty good with his distribution. Zane Schreiber making the block. Chon Song-hoon denied. Lingard with the corner. The outswinger off the head of Truin is Yazan Al-Arab. Back through Jong Sung-won. Out again by Ferreira. Lingard with Kim Jin-soo ignored on the overlap, and straight at Patrick Beach, who is then inadvertently tripped by Park Song-hoon. outside of Takeshi Kanamori and reserve keeper Dakota Oxenham on the bench for Melbourne City, they're pretty much all teenagers, the rest. All products of a very good youth academy that Melbourne City have constructed. Floated forward by Nathaniel Atkinson. He's doing them good business in the transfer market as well. That academy, the likes of Geordie Boss, sold for good money overseas. Connor Metcalf in recent years. No way through for Durakovic. The surname is familiar, Durakovic, to fans of Asian football, particularly in Southeast Asia. Yes, he is the son of great Mehmet Durakovic, winner of quite a few titles as a coach in Malaysia. And a Socceroo of some repute during his playing days in Australia as well. Sent long by Choi Chul-won, and it's accurate this time. Big chance for Jong Sung-won, but has it disappeared? He's still there. Went down rather easily inside the box, and has his bench telling him in no uncertain terms to get back to his feet. No real suggestion there should have been a penalty awarded. Referee's going to bring them back here. A yellow card for Kim Jin-soo. And some activity on the FC Seoul bench. And it's going to be one Brazilian for another. Lucas Rodriguez to wander off. And his replacement is the 27-year-old Anderson. Also Brazilian, also a left winger. Spent the last 2 seasons with Suwon FC. Voted in the K-League Best 11 in 2024 before his move to FC Seoul. His first task is to defend a free kick or help his teammates out, but there's a foul by Kuhn on Choi Jun. Which the Korean defender can see the funny side of as he got the whistle. Taking their time here, FC Seoul, which Melbourne City are complaining about. One in the air by German Ferreira. Lifted back forward by Kim Jin-soo. First touch for Anderson off the bench. Romani trying to drive through the gap, helped out by Caputo. Melbourne City throw in. Caputo has not really had too many opportunities tonight. Gets the throw. Has a little bit to say to Kim Jin-soo, who I think he felt left a little bit too much of the boot in. Already carded, of course, the left fullback. Has to be careful. Brought down by Schreiber. Atkinson. Getting the better of Anderson. And then turning back towards the Brazilian and into trouble. Quite the way he did that, Nathaniel Atkinson. seem to have done the hard work and then offered the Brazilian another chance to win the ball back. Jesse Lingard's first half goal, still the difference as we head towards the final half an hour in the Korean capital. Romani. Shani to nip in ahead of Jong Sung-won. Kuhn trying to place it rather too carefully out in front of Max Caputo. Up in the air by Schreiber. Kim Jin-soo with a lovely ball with the outside of the boots. And then Jong Sung-won went careering into Truin. Kevin Romani has dispossessed Kim Jin-soo, and Melbourne City could be in here. It's Andreas Kuhn. His shot is blocked. Oh, and then Emin Durakovic with a really poor attempt on goal. Dribbles behind for a goal kick. It looked promising for a moment when Romani nicked the ball away from Kim Jin-soo. Kuhn might have fed Rashani, and then Durakovic with a bit of a rush of blood. And completely miscuing. Chested down by Bajic. And he was impeded. Got a whack to the nose by the looks of it from Jong Sung-won, who, by the way, collects perfumes as a hobby. Not sure I've ever heard of a professional footballer with that particular favourite pastime, but there you go. AFC Seoul have not quite got the scent of victory in their nostrils just yet. Still a long way to go, but Rene Vidmar's team with it all to do. Sent long by Choi. There's a good climb by Hwang Do-yun in the air. He's pretty handy in those aerial duels. Threaded through beautifully by Kim Jin-soo. Lingard just threatened to open up for him for a moment. Now Melbourne City looking to counter through Kavian Romani. It's a bit unfortunate that his pass, which was intended for Elbasan Rashani, struck his teammate Andreas Kuhn. City have just had little glimpses here and there. Still very much in this contest. Seeking to become the first Australian club ever to win 4 consecutive games in the Champions League group stage. Although MacArthur did do that in the ACL 2, 23-24. Atkinson's ball into the box, and Caputo trying to get the touch. Scramble behind somehow by FC Seoul. The sort of ball that Max Caputo loves. Right in that corridor of uncertainty for defenders as well. I've just actually glanced off the hand of Park Song-hoon. Corner is the verdict. City have sent plenty forward, including Ferreira for this set piece. Punched away by Choi. Chul one at the near post pretty effectively. that's a clear infringement by Kai Truin, holding back Hwang Do-yun. And changes imminent off the bench for Aurelio Vidmar. Takeshi Kanamori is ready. There he is, former Champions League winner with Kashima Antlers in 2018. One of only 4 off-season arrivals for Melbourne City. But before that, we're going to see a double change for FC Seoul. Chon Song-hoon and Jong Sung-won, the 2 players to depart. And on in their place, Korea Republic international Moon Son-min, who was at the last Asian Cup, and striker Cho Young-wook. A slight change of emphasis in attack over the last 10 or 15 minutes for FC Seoul. I wouldn't exactly say Melbourne City are battering the door down in their attempts to get an equalizer, but certainly they've seized more of the initiative second half, which they have to do, of course. Choi Jun. Turned back to him by the new arrival, or at least one of them, Moon Son-min. Floated forward towards Cho Young-wook. Patrick Beach out together. Cho Young-wook, the new arrival, number 9. Never scored in the Champions League Elite, and he's been with the club a fair few years, but hasn't really established himself as the number 1 pick. I've read an interesting comment from one of the Korean reporters who said he lacks the strength to play up front and also the pace to play on the wing. Not exactly a ringing endorsement. Let's see if Anderson can do something here. Well, I'll tell you what, he's not far off. That just glanced off the base of the post. Something out of nothing for Kim Ji-dong's side. And Anderson, who barely been sighted since replacing Lucas Rodriguez, with an exhilarating run. And very nearly the finish to match here. Just glanced off the outside of the woodwork. And whilst you were watching that replay, Takeshi Kanamori has arrived. We're also going to see the introduction of Peter Antonio for Nathaniel Atkinson. Still recovering from that hamstring injury. So a double change made by Aurelio Vidmar. Antonio will slot in at right back. Kanamori will play a little further forward. Here's Moon Son-min. Going to hang it up to the back post, but Beach is there. Quick roll out for Schreiber. That ball's drifted out of play before Kanamori could retrieve it. Scored his first goal for Melbourne City recently. An absolute beauty it was too. Sadly for City, it was only a consolation in a 4-1 loss to Adelaide United. Their only defeat, by the way, in the last 15 domestic league games. Going back to the back end of last season when, of course, they won the A-League Championship. Lingard, whose goal is still the difference. Choi won with the long clearance upfield. And Son Min can't reach it. And without the insurance of the second goal, don't rule out another late show by Melbourne City. They've made a habit of it in this year's Champions League. Charge down, just going to bounce behind off Lee Sung-mo, showing good attacking intent. 2023 arrival from the Pohang Steelers. Caputo holding back his opponent. Australian striker suggesting that Yazan Al-Arab was doing exactly the same thing to him. I'm sure Max Caputo is just saying to his teammates, just give me one good chance. Just one. It's going to be a Melbourne City throw. Ferreira. Now an FC Seoul throw. Al-Arab. Beyond the reach of Anderson. Hooked back towards halfway by Kim Jin-soo. One in the air by Cho Young-wook. City have the ball. Andreas Kuhn advancing. Outside him is Kanamori. Still with the Japanese winger. Can he find the room for the cross? Well, not really. And FC Seoul able to mop that one up quite comfortably in the end. Helped on by Cho Young-wook. This is Moon Son-min. Now really at the veteran stage of his career, 33. Moon Son-min spent a large chunk of his earlier career in Sweden. He was really discovered by a certain Graham Potter during his time with Östersund. Potter now back as the national team coach, as Romani slides it wide left, and Kanamori will drill the equaliser in for Melbourne City. What a hit from the substitute, and their small band of travelling fans can celebrate. They have come from behind, and it was hit like an arrow by Takeshi Kanamori. 1-1. Well, teed up by Romani, but that's a really sweet hit with the left peg of Takeshi Kanamori. Nothing Choi could do, and that's what it means to the Melbourne City bench. And you can't really say that FC Seoul had not been warned. Not that they were throwing the kitchen sink at the Koreans, in search of the equalizer, but in general play, they'd had much more of the ball in the second half, Melbourne City. There was always that possibility that FC Seoul could be pegged back, and so it's proved to be. Ferreira stepping forward. Truin, not quite accurate enough for Romani. Kim Jin-soo takes over. Cho Young-wook, and then Lingard. Here's Moon Son-min, took a moment to settle on the ball. And that fraction of a second delay was fatal. That's a foul by Yazan Al-Arab. He's going to go to the book as well for stopping what could have been a promising Melbourne City attack. Things really started to heat up on this chilly night in Seoul with just 15 minutes to go. Lingard's ball perhaps just a touch high for Moon Son-min. And he wanted a touch to get the ball under his spell. And City were able to regroup. That's the foul that's brought about the yellow card for Al-Arab. FC Seoul's fourth caution of the evening. And Melbourne City immediately win a corner. And they're full of confidence on the back of this three-game winning streak. Emin Durakovic on corner kick duty. Just a slight delay whilst the referee issues some last-minute instructions. Durakovic, that should be the goalkeeper. He made a real mess of that. Choi Chul-won. And you could hear the gasps from the home supporters. It was such an easy take for such a big man. And he just poured at the ball. Not really inspiring confidence in his teammates. Off the chest of Lingard. They just can't really get going at the moment. Romani. Andreas Kuhn with the miscontrol. Now Jesse Lingard. FC Seoul need a bit of inspiration from their talisman. They've got a free kick, courtesy of the foul by German Ferreira. Lingard just pulling up lane for the moment. Just got a whack to the side of the head. Not quite sure what happened there with Jesse Lingard. Maybe this will tell us more. Yeah, not the wiser. Anyway, he's back refreshed and good to go for the free kick. Patrick Beach will be aware that right foot is supremely talented. He's got a split ball of two guarding the near post. He does go for goal. Thought he might, Jesse Lingard. Disappointing set piece in the end. Ah, that's where the injury occurred. Bit of lots of friendly fire with the referee. Anyway, it didn't delay him for long. Referee getting up close and personal with FC Seoul's superstar. Spooned up in the air by Park Song-hoon. Volleyed forwards by Ferreira. And out off the boot of Zane Schreiber. Another change coming up. Another two for Melbourne City. Durakovic and Caputo coming off. Liam Bonatig and Medin Mehmeti are the replacements. Medin Mehmeti, who scored late on to seal the points for Melbourne City against Johor in their last Champions League outing in Melbourne. Again, rather shabby distribution by Sergeant Choi. Might be court-martial for that after the game by Kim Ji-dong. Into the last 10 minutes, off the head of Antonio. Good touch by Lingard. Opens it up for FC Seoul. Moon Son-min on the right. Cho Young-wook easily hustled off it by Kai Truin. Melbourne City back on the front foot through Kuhn. Kanamori, the goal scorer. I would imagine already Vidmar would see a point here. That's a pretty good result. They might yet get all three, of course. Romani, Schreiber, Romani just couldn't reel the ball in. And then commits the foul on Cho Young-wook. Nicely angled ball by Hwang Do-yun, who's back in possession now. And given that FC Seoul had the advantage at the break, haven't really done enough in the second half, and they're backtracking again here. Takeshi Kanamori leading the charge for Melbourne City. He's overplayed his hand. Well, that's a really disappointing end to a very promising situation for the visitors. And Kanamori, for all the elegance of his finish for the equalizer, really fluffed his lines here. And then a clumsy challenge at the end of it. Another change for Melbourne City. Andreas Kuhn has his number called, and Ben Mazzeo, a young winger who's got a bit of pace, a bit of zip about him. He'll come on for the last few minutes. Maybe a signal of intent for Aurelio Vidmar that he feels that FC Seoul are there for the taking. On the evidence of what we've seen in the second half, very difficult to disagree with that assessment. They've been a little disappointing in my book, the Korean outfit. One chance for Anderson aside when he grazed the outside of the post. Lee Sung-mo. Handball by Antonio. Jesse Lingard's time running short now as an FC Seoul player. Is he about to have the final say? Here's Moon Son-min. Looking to go first time was Lingard. He knew that Anderson was in position. So there's Hwang Do-yun. Back through Al Arab. Kim Jin-soo with no option but to go all the way back to Choi. Anderson. Cho Young-wook outside it. It's not a bad ball. Oh, and Nazi's Pajic had to be oh so careful there. In the end, they made it look pretty simple, but how many times have we seen situations like that sometimes lead to own goals? The Melbourne City skipper was cool as a cucumber. And Ferreira has sportingly put the ball out, so Lee Sung-mo can get some attention on what looks like a tight hamstring. Patrick Beach has performed heroics in this Champions League. This one a little bit more routine. Just a fraction of a second's panic, maybe. As his Page looked completely unbothered. Lee Sung-mo back on his feet. He's had his injury problems in the past. Actually once broke a couple of vertebrae in his neck back in 2018 after he fell on his head in a game between Gwangju and Daejeon. Takeshi Kanamori is the name on the lips of Melbourne City supporters after his goal-scoring cameo off the bench. Might still be thinking about the situation that followed that, where he had a really good opportunity. So Lee Sung-mo wanders off, and Ryu Jae-moon is with us as his replacement. Minutes of the regulation 90 to play, and a reminder that Melbourne City have scored injury time goals in each of their last 3 Champions League Elite group stage matches. They've coughed up the ball here though. Fell on Jesse Lingard. 32 times capped by the England national team into the World Cup in 2018, scored as well against Panama. Just getting caught there by Truitt. That's got to be a foul as well. Yep, referee's going to bring them back. Yellow card for Lingard, who is probably irritated that harsher sanction wasn't applied for what he believed was an equally nasty foul just moments prior to that. So he went seeking retribution and took it out on Takeshi Kanamori. Gets a yellow card for his troubles. It looked like being the perfect farewell, didn't it, in the first half for Jesse Lingard? Might not turn out to be the case. Too high for Mehmeti. And we tick over into the 90th minute in Seoul. Park Song-hoon sent it wide right. Choi Jun. who put on a wonderful assist for Lingard's opener on 31 minutes. FC Seoul have not created much since. Maybe that's about to change. Anderson, though, loses out to Peter Antonio. One of several changes off the bench for City second half. Another one, Kanamori, loses out to Lingard. Anderson again. Could open up here. And Ryu Jae-moon, the substitute, forces a fine save out of Patrick Beach late on. And finally they created something, FC Seoul. Lingard and Anderson, the two imports, both involved. Ryu Jae-moon calling for it. Was probably just going to creep in, wasn't it? Beach with the save, and it was a good one too. And now the flag is up for offside as we tick over into the first of 5 additional minutes at the end of the 90. Patrick Beach, so often the saviour for Melbourne City in this competition this season, was at his best again to deny Ryu Jae-moon what would surely have been a winner. Romani. Volleyed forwards by Yazan Al-Arab. Moon Son-min couldn't get goal side of Bayic. Park Song-hoon there to mop up for FC Seoul. They're making a late bid for all 3 points after a rather sleepy second half for the home side. Bayic going long and finding Mehmeti, who was offside. Melbourne City finish off their Champions League commitments in February with a trip to Ulsan and then a home game against Gangwon. So Korean opposition in all 3 of their final games. FC Seoul have a very tricky away trip to the current league leaders Vissel Kobe, and then a home match with another J-League outfit, Sanfrecce Hiroshima, to finish. Could they get all 3 points late on here? Anderson on the turn. Past one defender. It's going to be a Melbourne City throw-in, much to the Brazilian winger's frustration. Peter Antonio just telling his teammates to calm things down. Points away from home. Be a good result, even though it would put an end to their winning streak. Antonio might have just lost his bearings for a moment there, but Ferreira tidies up. And we played 3 of the additional 5 minutes. Choi Jun to Moon Son-min, back through Park Song-hoon, now Hwang Do-hyun, wide left is Lingard, maybe a final opportunity to impact matters for FC Seoul. Kim Jin-soo with the cross, still alive for Moon Son-min, and Schreiber sees it out for the moment. You almost wonder where this urgency has been for much of the second half for FC Seoul. It's taken that equaliser and a couple of changes for them to wake up. Stolen in midfield by Romani. He's then brought to ground by Lingard, who is angry at that verdict. And remember, is on a yellow card, doesn't want to end his time with FC Seoul on the sourest note of a red card. Melbourne City just weathered that little late storm from FC Seoul. They won the points with virtually the last kick of the game against Machida Zelvia, their last away match. Andrew Naboot scoring the winner on that occasion. To the 6th minute now of stoppage time. Just a matter of how many more seconds the referee will add on, and the answer is not many. It ends all square. Another good result on the road for Melbourne City, who stay a point above their Korean rivals. It's not the way FC Seoul wanted to farewell Jesse Lingard, who scored the opening goal, but Takeshi Kanamori came off the bench to secure a share of the spoils for Melbourne City. Both clubs remaining on track for the knockout phase. It finished at the Seoul World Cup Stadium. FC Seoul 1, Melbourne City 1.